Welcome to the Fieldgrove Ranch. We are the Fieldgrove family and a couple extras. We are pleased to have won the 2011 Leopold Conservation Award. I'm Ryan. This is my wife Teresa.
Hello.
My daughter Elisa.
Howdy, partner.
My other daughter Anna.
Hi.
My son Tom, and our cousin Lane Rodriguez. We hope you enjoy a tour of our ranch. Winning the 2011 Leopold Conservation Award is a very humbling experience and an honor. I believe that conservation is a very important practice to install. It's based on ethics. If we do not take care of the resources that are here today, there's no assurance that they're going to be here for either my children or their children in the future. I believe that taking care of the resources that are on this ranch not only benefits me, but it also benefits the public and their interests as well. In Wyoming, we're about preserving wide open spaces, and you can't do that type of preservation if you do not have conservation involved. You know, conservation is not only a philosophy that makes everybody feel good that they're doing something to protect the land and the natural resources, but it's actually a practice that helps agriculture be sustainable. All the things that we've done on this operation either save us time or money. And installing all of those things not only helps the wildlife habitat, specifically the sage grouse in this area, but also we've seen effects economically that have benefited our cattle operation as well. About 22 years ago, my family decided to purchase this place, which we are on today. We basically had 3 pastures, a perimeter fence, and a stock water system. So we've had to build a working cattle operation basically from scratch. We've had 3 things that have basically happened on this operation, and they've stemmed from problems or issues that we needed to embrace. The first is we had a horrible leafy spurge infestation. We have all my life, and I knew that I did not want to continue on with just a chemical application to try to control the weed like my family has done for the past 20 years. That did not work by itself. A couple of things that we've done is utilized some of the NRCS programs, an EQIP program, where we utilized an integrated pest management system. We used the brush goats to control the weeds or reduce the canopy. We used the flea beetle, which is a bug that came from Eurasia, where the leafy spurge first came from, that actually kills the root system in the plant. Then we used a chemical application in some areas to try to reduce broad spectrum control that the weed had on the terrain. The second thing dealt with after I first got here and managed the ranch on my own. It seemed like we had about 7 years of drought. During that period of time, I realized the importance of rotational grazing. We had to reduce our stocking rates in the last 5 years due to the drought conditions. At one time when we first began, we had over 200 cow-calf pairs on this operation. It wasn't too long after that, maybe the next year, that we had a pretty severe drought. And so we started reducing our numbers so that we didn't feel like we were abusing the rangeland. Over the course of the next 5 years, we continued to reduce the herd in order to try to take care of the grass. that was left. There was one year that we sold all but 80 head, and we did that in order to try not to do long-term damage to the condition of the range from basically just not having any moisture at all. And finally, the last thing is, on the ranch we have several active and inactive sage-grouse leks, and several of the conservation practices that we have done have been designed to both benefit the ranching operation and improve the habitat for the sage-grouse. For example, our cross-fencing program not only was designed for rotational grazing to try to protect the rangeland, it was also designed to be able to fence out those leks and brood rearing areas of the sage-grouse. So we do not put our cattle in those areas where we know that sage-grouse are either strutting or nesting in the springtime. All those practices have done what I think is to benefit the operation well into the future. It's been expensive to install some of those things today, but everything that we've done should last for at least 20 to 30 years, if not longer, into the future. With our goat project, it's kind of been a trial and error from the beginning. It's started about 12 years ago. We started with the goats about 1 year after we took over the ranch, and we did a small research project with a weed and pest. I asked to see if goats in fact would be a good control factor on the leafy spurge. So we bought 10 head from South Texas, brought them up, and fenced them in about a 10-acre plot. Those goats had controlled that weed in about 7 days. So at that point, we knew that the goats did work on leafy spurge. After that, we decided to go on and try it on a much larger scale. As you can see, we're here at our goat facility on the ranch. This is what we call our goat shed, if you will. It's about 4 miles from the headquarters, and it's up in the hills. And we utilize this as our headquarters for the goats to come in and out to the weeds as they're controlling the leafy spurge. The goats are here now with the kids as the moms are now out eating the weeds. As it's springtime, they'll travel up to 4 or 5 miles a day, and then they come back here every night to nurse their kids. A couple things that we've done as far as our conservation plan to benefit wildlife is on all of our cross fences, or fences that we installed with any of the NRCS programs, we put a smooth wire on the bottom. That allows the antelope in this area to move from one side of the pasture to the next without damaging themselves. In addition, they do that a lot easier and are freer to move around in their natural migration. The area behind me has been implemented as in one of our rangeland restoration areas, where we've taken some degraded rangeland. In this instance, it was an old prairie dog town that was growing mustard weed and cheatgrass, and we ran it through our pasture aeration system, where we've taken an aeration and reclaimed the rangeland back to native forage, as well as some forbs that benefit the sage-grouse. Well, here we are on the part of the ranch that is considered to be one of our late spring grazing pastures. We just moved our cows in here in the last couple days, and we're at one of our water facilities. We've put this water tank in a cross fence, which makes it easy to move cows from one pasture to the next. All we do is open the gate and they pretty much move themselves. As you can see, this is an egress ramp for the sage-grouse that we installed last year, and have put these in all of our tanks over the last 3 years. Since we installed this tank, we haven't noticed any other mammals that have got in and died. The advice that I would have for someone who was having a hard time thinking about the conservation practices and the barriers that may be involved in those is I would just say, be willing to try something new. I was always raised that in this country, larger pastures were better. And one of the biggest challenges was for me to change my mindset in cross-fencing the operation. Conservation is not an exact science. And I believe the Leopold Conservation Award wants to show the public the diversity of all the conservation programs that are out there, that an individual ranch or agriculture operation can take the fundamentals of conservation and then make them specific to what works for their own operation. I'm hoping that anyone that sees this is willing to try some of those practices that they've heard about here today and hopefully improve their own conservation efforts on their own operation.